Hi, it's Morgan and welcome to the Dove's Nest. In today's video, I'm answering all of your questions. Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thanks so much for joining me. My name is Morgan Dove and I am a self-admitted hot mess mom. I'm currently on a journey to create habits and routines and systems that will help me keep my house clean and tidy and my family and mostly myself happy. And lately we've been doing school at home, so I'm adding in quite a bit of homeschool style videos. If you're interested in following along with me, be sure to hit that subscribe button. But in today's video, I'm doing a question and answer. I recently filmed a extreme home declutter playlist where every day for 2 weeks, I picked the worst part of my house and decluttered and purged and organized it. And one of those places was the bookshelf in our playroom. Now in that video, which I will be sure to link right here, I did voiceovers so that I could speed up the actual filming so that you didn't have to organize my bookshelf with me for 2 hours. You're welcome. And in those voiceovers, I responded to some of the comments and questions that I get the most often, but it was while doing that voiceover that I decided I should probably just have a dedicated Q&A video. So this is it. I posted a few days ago and I asked you to leave me questions, and I got quite a few. Today I'm going to answer 9 because I think it will make for a pretty decent length video. If you watch that video, you know I'm a talker and I enjoy talking. So if you're not someone who likes to sit through somebody talking, right now would be the time to exit out of this video. Otherwise, let's dive into some questions. I have my computer down here to help me, so if I'm looking down, that's what I'm doing. I'm not trying to be rude and break eye contact with my viewers. Okay, question number 1. How come you won't accept my Facebook or Instagram friend request? You guys, I do have Facebook and Instagram as well as YouTube. If you click in the About section of my YouTube channel, it will take you to an Instagram page. I can't even remember what it's called, but I started that Instagram page years ago when I was doing Top School with my son, probably 2 or 3 years ago, and I haven't updated it since. I have no plans to update it, and I don't remember my password, and I can't access it. So people may also find me just on Instagram or Facebook, my personal pages, but those are private, and they are private for good reasons. I'll get to it in a second. But they're the places where I share the daily happenings of my life and my family and my, just thoughts and things. But the people that I am friends with on my personal Instagram and Facebook pages are people that I know in real life and I am friends with in real life. So I'm very picky and choosy about who sees that content. They're not just strangers on the internet. If I went to high school with someone and they friend requested me, but we weren't really friends and I never really talked to them much and I haven't talked to them since, I'm not going to accept their friend request. I did have an experience a couple of years ago with my personal Instagram page where it was not private and pictures of my children were stolen. A separate Instagram account was created by someone in Russia, and they were passing off these children as their own, creating names, creating stories. I was never in any of the photos, my parents were. And we had an incident where one of my friends actually was in, I want to say it was Taiwan, and saw a poster with a picture of my kids in Taiwan that somebody got from my Instagram page. We've never been to Taiwan. And so for security reasons and privacy reasons, I have those accounts private and I just don't open them up to everyone. The other thing is, I don't like social media unless I want to do it. For example, I am a wedding photographer, and most of the time I spend on my business is doing social media marketing. And it in and of itself is a full-time 40-hour-a-week job just to keep an Instagram page going. And I just got so sick of it. I'm so burnt out that I actually haven't even touched my Instagram page since I think Valentine's Day of this year, which isn't the best thing for my business, but I just can't do it. And so my thing with YouTube is, if you want to find me, this is where you can find me. I'm not on Instagram for YouTube. I'm not on Facebook for YouTube. I'm on YouTube for YouTube. The other thing is you don't have to run around to a bunch of other places to find content. One of my biggest pet peeves when I find a content creator that I enjoy is they'll post something on YouTube and then they'll post other things on Instagram and other things on Facebook. And I don't want to go all over the internet to find things. I don't want to spend all of my time on the internet chasing someone, right? It just takes too much time. So as far as Instagram and Facebook friend requests, I've gotten a lot just in the last couple of weeks from people I don't know. I'm assuming they're from YouTube people because just in the last couple of weeks, my channel has really sort of picked up. So please know I'm not trying to offend you. I'm not trying to be mean, but those are my personal accounts and I'm not friends with anyone unless I'm friends with you in real life. The number one question I get asked the most on my channel, almost in every single video, is from people wanting to know where they can get a copy of my FlyLady printables. I purchased them on Etsy probably 2 years ago, and I will be sure to link a link to those printables below. But for people who want my exact printables, I won't share them. And that's because I did purchase them from someone else. I didn't create them myself. And so for copyright reasons and, creative licensing reasons, I am a creative. I take photos for a living, and I would be really upset if someone was sharing or distributing my creative property without my permission, plus it's illegal. And so I'm not going to do that to someone else. For people who look at the link and then come back and say, well, these printables are totally different. They're not, I promise. They're the exact same ones I use. I did make 2 customizations to mine, however. In the printables that you can buy on Etsy, for the daily FlyLady routines, she has 1 sheet of paper and there's like morning routines on the top with some boxes where you can fill in your morning routines. And then the bottom half of that paper says evening routines. And the only thing I did was I whited out evening routines and I wrote afternoon routines. And then I made a second copy of that paper, and where it says morning routines, I whited that out and I put evening routines. That's the only change that I made to the printables. I know most people do just have morning and evening routines, especially if they work outside of the home, so that paper on its own may work for you. I have time in my day, in my afternoon, to do some things around my house, so that's why I customized it. The second thing I did was I took those PDFs and I put them in Adobe Acrobat and I just typed out all of my routines rather than handwrite them. Early on, I was changing them all the time, and so rather than having to rewrite the whole checklist or erase things and rewrite it, I just typed them because then I can go in, I can erase it, and I can print a new one, and it's easy. If you are looking for like a checklist of my exact routines, as I mentioned again in that bookshelf video, I don't recommend doing this. That's not to say I'm not going to share them with you, but the reason I don't recommend copying someone else's routines exactly as they are is because every home is different, every person is different, every schedule is different. And so these routines are what work for me. In my video talking about how I modified the FlyLady system, I will be sure to include a link in the card up here for that video. Before I talk about every pillar of the FlyLady system, the baby steps, the weekly routines, and the zone cleaning, on those videos, I have like an overlay that breaks down all of my steps. And so I will go back in that video and I will timestamp where you can find each of those things. If you just want a quick peek and then you want to copy them down, that's fine. The other thing I'm doing is I am going through and I am making videos for every single step of my process. So every baby step in my morning routine, every baby step in my afternoon routine, every baby step in my evening routine will have a video, and they will all be placed in a FlyLady Baby Steps playlist here on YouTube, as well as in their own morning routine playlist, afternoon playlist, evening routine playlist. And then I'm also going to do the same for my weekly routine. There will be a video for what I do every day of the week. I usually spend 1 hour a day on a weekly cleaning task, so that will be its own playlist. And then I will have videos for each of my zones, and that will be its own playlist. So I'm hoping by the end of July, all of those videos will be scheduled. I'm currently in the process of filming all of them, and then it's just a matter of getting them scheduled. And so you could easily go to those playlists and find all of my steps in one easy playlist, or you can just reference back to how I modify the FlyLady cleaning system, and you can see the screen overlays there. So that's why I'm not sharing my exact printables here on YouTube or anywhere else. It's not to be mean. It's not because I want my routines to be a secret and I want to keep them all to myself. Obviously, that's not the case. I wouldn't be sharing them with thousands of people on YouTube. It's just that it's not my creative property to redistribute, and I don't have them typed up or written out anywhere else, and I don't want to do that. It's not efficient. Okay, moving on. Question number 3. What do you do for diet and exercise to make sure you're a healthy, happy mama? I don't. Guys, I don't. I can safely say with 100% accuracy that I have not intentionally exercised since just after having my son, who's now 5 years old. Just after he was born and when I was able to start exercising again, I did a program called BBG. It's the Bikini Body Guide. It's still around. It's an app now. I think it's called the Sweat app or something. It's a subscription service. When I did the program, it was just a one-time purchase ebook. I printed it out. I did the 12-week program. I think I stuck with it for like 9 weeks and then I quit. Because I quit everything. And that was the last time I can honestly say I intentionally exercised. Just after my daughter was born 3 years ago, we moved into this house. It's 3 stories, it's a lot of stairs. And so unpacking boxes and trying to move everything into the rooms that it needs to be in and sorting through things up and down 3 flights of stairs. That's how I lost baby weight from my daughter. I remember my father-in-law commented that it came off really fast. But since then, I have literally not done anything. I probably should start an exercise regimen because I'm at that age where, you know, like your whole body just changes and you can't eat a cookie anymore without it just staying permanently. With this pregnancy, I have not been allowed to exercise. I am on modified bed rest, which basically means I'm not supposed to even be doing like the things I'm doing. I'm kind of supposed to just be sedentary, except to shower and use the bathroom and like prepare meals, very easy things. I'm not supposed to be lifting anything. I'm not supposed to be doing any kind of exercise, and that the doctor told me that in December of 2019. It's now May of 2020. So for the last 5 months, I haven't been allowed to do anything. Not that I was doing anything anyway. Once he's born, I probably will do some exercise again, just to sort of get rid of extra baby weight. And that's mostly just to fit into my clothes because I don't want to go shopping and have to buy all new stuff because my clothes don't fit. So I really, once I have a baby, exercise to the point of fitting in my clothes, and then I don't do anymore. I should say weight has never been an issue for me. I know people who have struggled with their weight since they were children. It's never been a problem for me. I've always been small. I didn't break 100 pounds until just before I was married when I was 29 years old. I would work out in high school and college to try to gain weight. I would lift weights to try to build muscle mass and gain weight and some curves because I just looked like this really lanky string bean. So having hardships with weight, in the sense that most of us think about it, has never been an issue. The only time I've struggled is when people have thought that I'm so thin I must have an eating disorder or I must be sick. And that was never the case either. I just have a really great metabolism and I've never had to worry about weight. So I will say that. As far as diet goes, I've never done a diet. Ever. I eat when I'm hungry, and usually if I am hungry, I'm craving a certain thing, and so I will eat that certain thing. I also am not a big sweet eater. When I married my husband, I thought it was so weird. He would buy like cookies and candy and just keep them in our pantry, and I just thought it was so weird that we had candy in our house and it wasn't Halloween. Like, I've never experienced that before. When I want a snack, I will usually grab some fruit. My go-tos are like yogurt and a bowl of cereal, but I eat like dad's cereal. I don't really eat really heavy sugar cereals. My favorite right now is Wheat Chex and Frosted Mini Wheats. Those are kind of the two I go back and forth with right now. But that's sort of like my snacking. I don't ever go for like, oh, I really want cookies, or oh, I really want ice cream. I don't do sugar-free anything. I want all the sugar. If, you know, I'm gonna have a treat, I'm gonna have a treat. But the only sugar I really consume throughout the day, I drink 1 can of Dr. Pepper a day, and that's kind of it as far as heavy amounts of sugar. So I don't have any advice for people wanting health and fitness advice. I'm probably the worst person you can go to because I don't really follow a dieting and eating plan. Like I said, I eat what I want when I want to, and I don't exercise ever. Unless you count carrying laundry baskets full of clothes up and down 3 flights of stairs. And that's exercise, maybe. Question number 4 is, are you finished with your home declutter? And the short answer is no, I will never be done. The purpose of my 2-week extreme home declutter, if you haven't seen it, I will link that playlist here, was to go through the messiest, worst parts of my house and get rid of stuff. It was stuff that I found I was cleaning up all the time or having to sort through all the time, and I was wasting so much time cleaning and picking up these things that nobody cared about and nobody used except to make it a mess. So that was the point of that declutter series. However, I'm never going to be done decluttering. Every day in my FlyLady afternoon routine, I set aside 15 minutes to declutter something. And now that I've sort of finished that extreme home declutter, as I go through my house, I keep finding little spots and areas like, I need to get to that. I need to get to that. So I will always be decluttering something, and I may film it, especially the bigger areas. For instance, my daughter's closet. I'm fairly certain I'm done having kids after this baby, so we don't need all of these bins and bins and bins of girl clothes. And so I'll maybe donate those to a family member, but I can totally purge and declutter her closet because it's mostly just storage of clothes that I'm not ever going to use anymore. So I will be doing projects like that, as well as the 15-minute a day declutter. My goal is not to be a minimalist. I get tons of comments that are kind of pushing me towards minimalism. That's not my goal. I have no desire to be a minimalist. I just don't. I want to be a manageable list. I want to be able to manage the stuff that we have without it being so overwhelming and creating chaos. I don't want to get rid of everything. Like when people are saying, your kids should only have 5 toys, like that's not going to work for my kids. It just is not. They can have as many as they can manage. If it gets to a point where it's too many for them to take care of and clean up, we're done with toys and some will have to go. And that's kind of my stance for our whole house. I want to be able to manage the things that we have. Once it starts to get to a point where it's getting out of control or it's overwhelming or it's just taking up too much of my time, then I'll go through and I'll get rid of more. But I'm not interested in being a minimalist. I do follow the minimalist mom. I love her. I think she's great. I'm not there yet. Maybe someday, but right now I'm not there. Okay, I don't know what's going on. I've just lost control of my autofocus. This could be very bad. Number 5, somebody asked, how are you liking the FlyLady system? And I love it. I think it's great. I heavily modified it, as I mentioned in this video, and I have linked to up here, but otherwise it's great. It doesn't work for me exactly as Marla lays it out, but like I said, with the customizations and things I've made, I think it's working really well. I've noticed that my house is already, just in the last 2 or 3 months, is already just managing to stay cleaner, along with the fact that my husband and I have been really strict about implementing rules as far as where mess is and is not allowed to go. So I think that's important. If you are implementing a system in order to keep your house clean, not only do you need to have systems and routines to keep it clean, I firmly believe that everything has to have a place, and if it doesn't have a place, it doesn't have a place in your home, but also getting everyone in your family on board. My husband is like a natural born minimalist and I'm like a natural born hoarder, and our kids are sort of right in the middle. And so one of the things we've really been doing is teaching our kids toys only go in the playroom. If I see a toy and it's not in the playroom, if it's in our living room or on the stairs or even in our kids' bedrooms, it goes in the trash. Like it's a no question, no fight, it's in the trash. And they have learned very quickly that our toys stay in the playroom. Same thing with their clothes. They're responsible for putting their clothes in their dressers. It's just making sure that everybody is doing their part to help things stay clean. So I think the FlyLady system is great. I think modifications to the FlyLady system is great, but I also think everyone needs to take it a bit further with getting their family on board. It can't just all fall to one person. Question number 6 is, when are you due? So if you didn't know, I am currently 32 weeks pregnant with baby number 3. My official due date is July 4th of 2020. However, I was diagnosed with placenta previa in December and preeclampsia in March of this year. And so I am having to have a C-section sometime the first week of June. So he'll be 4 to 5 weeks early. We haven't scheduled that. We scheduled the C-section in 2 weeks, so I'll have an exact date, but my doctor is not going to let me go past 36 weeks. And June 6th is the day that I change over from 36 to 37 weeks. Question number 7 is, how are you planning to keep up with the new baby, your work, homeschooling, and your cleaning routine? Once baby comes and sort of adds another ball in the air, how am I planning to keep up with these things? So I'm going to go through them really quickly and tell you. So as far as homeschooling goes, we use a curriculum that is open and go. It requires no preparation from me. And if you're interested in homeschooling curriculum that we're using, I will be sure to link a video up here. But basically, I open the book, I read what it says to read, and then my kids do the activities that it says to do in the book. All of the hands-on activities come with the curriculum, so I sort of just have to pull that out of their drawer and give it to them, and they can do it. Some of the things that I have added, such as our daily devotional, again, it came in a kit and I had it all printed off last year. So I just have to pull out that file folder. I read sort of the lesson or what scriptures we're doing that day, give them the activity. And so schooling at home right now is not an issue. We may take a week off once baby gets here, mostly because I'll be in the hospital. And if I need to take another week off, it's not such an intense curriculum that I have to school my kids at our kitchen table. I can do it from my bed. I can do it from the living room couch. And so homeschool is going to be just fine, like just fine. We may continue through the summer just because my kids are enjoying it so much. It gives us something to do during our day and sort of breaks up the monotony of go play outside. And so, while they officially end school mid-June, just after the baby's born, we could end there. We may go through and just keep going until they don't want to do it anymore. So we'll have to see. But for now, homeschooling won't really be affected. As far as the new baby impacting my housework, I will have to step back from my daily routines and things because I'm having a C-section. I will be in the hospital for 5 days afterwards and then come home. And my doctor has said I'll probably have to stay in bed and not lift anything heavier than a coffee cup for 2 weeks. So that's roughly a 3-week lull in cleaning. During that time, my mom will be staying with us for about a week or so. My mother-in-law lives just down the street, so she will be able to come help out if we need her. And so while the daily stuff may not be getting done, dishes and laundry will be getting done. My husband is here. He's taking paternity leave, and so, he can do all of those things. As far as keeping up with the cleaning, we may have our old housekeepers come once while I'm recovering and just sort of, do the dusting and vacuuming and the sort of things that they're used to doing. And then when I can get back to my daily routines, I will jump back in, pick up where I need to, and just kind of start over. And so that's sort of my plan for housework. I'm not one of those moms who thinks that other moms do it all and I should be doing it too. I know that no mom does it all, and I have no desire to do it all because that's exhausting and I'm lazy. And so I'm going to give myself a break where I can. If the house doesn't get clean for a month, the house doesn't get clean for a month. If my kids don't have homeschool for a month, my kids don't have homeschool for a month. It's not going to greatly affect anyone's life. And we just pick up where we left off and we keep going. And so that's my plan for that. As far as my job, as I mentioned before, I am a wedding and portrait photographer. The great thing about my job is it's my company and I'm the boss. So I can be as busy or as not busy as I want to be. Somebody commented oh, you're a wedding photographer. That's so glamorous. You guys, it's not at all. I only spend about 5 to 10% of the time I work on my business actually taking pictures. I spend about 40% of the time curating my social media. So making sure my Instagram feed is going to be pretty. I use Planoly to get it all laid out so I can see it in advance how it's gonna look, to get those posts scheduled, to come up with creating and engaging captions to build engagement, therefore boost my views on social media, to try to market to other clients. You know, all of these things that sort of go into social media to create stories and get those scheduled. So that's like 40% of the time I spend on my business. The other 60% of the time I spend on my business is owning a business. Like, it's not just I go out and I take pictures of beautiful weddings and then here's your photos, give me all the money. I mean, I do accounting. I spend countless hours. For one wedding, I probably spend about 80 hours emailing back and forth, creating wedding day timelines, creating, making sure that we are going to capture all of the shots that they want for their wedding, designing wedding albums, ordering things, maintaining my website, updating pricing guides, updating portrait session and engagement session style guides, like all of these things that I do that nobody ever sees or really thinks about. And so the nice thing about owning my business during this time is that I have been able to completely step back. And the biggest reason is because it's illegal. Photography is non-essential. All of my couples that had spring and summer weddings for this year have rescheduled for very late fall or even 2021. And so I don't even have a session. I think my next session is a wedding in late August. And so I'm not shooting anything. As I mentioned, I've taken a step back from social media. I'm kind of just taking a very extended maternity leave, and that's fine with me. And so that's how I plan to keep up with that. For other people who, actually do have a job where they're trying to work from home and school their kids at home and, cooking and cleaning with new babies and little babies, I don't know how they're doing it. I'm not doing it. I will be the first to tell you.
So remember how my automatic focus on my camera decided to go kaput while filming this video, and so for the rest of it goes in and out of focus? I apologize. Well, I also lost like a bunch of footage in random spots, and so I'm going to be sticking in some weird voiceovers, and maybe I'll throw a picture up on the screen for you. But this next question was, who does the homeschooling in your house, you or your husband? And the short answer is I do.
You guys, I know that this pandemic is negatively affecting millions of people, probably billions of people, right? Worldwide. I have looked at it for the most part as a blessing. We haven't been infected. We haven't been sick, mostly because we haven't left our house for any reason since March 13th. We have our groceries delivered. Anything that gets delivered to our house, we leave it outside for 24 hours. Or if it's, like our groceries, like milk or something, we will put on gloves, put it in the refrigerators in the garage, and then throw the gloves away. So we're being very careful not to contaminate ourselves, I guess. We've distanced from family. Our family's already doing get-togethers, even though it's illegal in our state. And we're staying away from those.
But the biggest blessing has been with my husband's job. Not only was he able to keep his job, he's also been able to work from home. So normally he leaves the house before any of us are awake, about 6 o'clock in the morning, and we don't usually see him until about 7 o'clock, right before the kids go to bed at night. And so with him working from home, we see him all day long. He usually is stuck down in our office. We call it the cave because it's the smallest, darkest room in our house, but we do have a home office and he's able to work from home. Even though he's home, he is busy. He usually starts his workday at about 7 a.m. He has conference calls and Zoom meetings. He might pop up for lunch around noon, but he is working all day long. So the homeschooling falls on me, but it's fine because it's giving me something to do during this time. I haven't felt any kind of boredom or anxiousness for the last 2 months because I'm busy with something to focus on that is of value and that is worth my while, which is teaching my kids. Now, again, I don't want people to think that I am doing it all or that I am spending my days super busy. As I mentioned in my bookshelf declutter video, there's really only about an hour and a half to 2 hours worth of actual cleaning in my day. And that includes my 1 hour cleaning in the afternoon, shining my sink and cleaning up after dinner, picking up any toys or clutter, and doing laundry. So 2 hours a day cleaning is not a bunch. We only spend about 2 hours or so doing homeschool, so that's only 4 hours of my day, and I have the rest of my day to relax and, peruse Instagram and watch YouTube videos. For anyone who might be upset that I'm doing the homeschooling on top of everything else or think that it's too much and not manageable, it's really not. It's just about having good time management skills, and then I literally have like 8 hours of my day with nothing to do but hang out with my family.
I am currently working on a homeschool routine video, and I'm actually filming bits and pieces of it every day this week. I want to film it and share it, but I don't want to take a whole day where I focus on filming and trying to do school, because I just know that would be so miserable for me and my kids. So I'm just going to kind of have our camera set up and film bits and pieces throughout the day, and then that video will be coming soon, just so people can kind of see how we're doing it. If I'm being honest, we don't spend more than 2 hours a day doing school. And I even feel like 2 hours at this age for my kids is a really long time, but we cover a lot every day. Like, we do a lot. I did just read an article, and it's so true with schooling at home. The biggest issue with schooling at home is parents. Most of us went to public school, and so we got the public school education, and we think we need to recreate public school in our houses, and our kids need to be sitting and learning for 6 hours. And that's not the case, because you think public school, you had one teacher for 20 to 30 kids, and not one of those kids was getting one-on-one focused, undivided attention. But with school at home, they are. And so you can basically take 1 hour from your school day and condense it down to 10 or 15 minutes at home. And that's all you need. And so if you have 6 hours at school day, that's an hour at home, and your kids are going to get the exact same education. So the fact that we do about 2 hours, we usually start right after breakfast and we finish before lunch. And then my kids are done for the day, and then it's kind of just free play. So that's the biggest thing if you're trying to school your kids at home. For those of you with older kids and everything's got to be on the computer, I couldn't do that. My son does have little activities he's supposed to be doing on the computer every week, and I just told his teacher he's not going to do them. We're doing our own thing, and she was fine with that. If it were one of those cases where my kids had to be doing, all the school and all the computer time, and it was just taking all day long, I would have just unenrolled my kids and said, we're going to homeschool for the rest of the year. It's a month. You know what I mean? So all that to say, I do have a homeschool routine video coming. I do the homeschool. It's giving me something to do during the day as well. And it's actually great. I'm loving the time that I'm spending with them, and it breaks up the monotony, and it gives us all something to do. Okay, so the last question was, could you please make a video explaining your day in the life so we can see how you implement all of your cleaning routines, your work, your mom time, and your homeschool time? So the short answer to this is probably no. I just don't think I'm gonna have time to film this video before baby comes, or until maybe I will someday, after I've healed. But even after I've healed, then I think we'll be getting rid of homeschooling my kids. I plan on sending my kids back to school in the fall, unless it's gonna be just a really lame experience, which I talked about in my homeschool lesson prep video, which I will be sure to link up here. We're not sure if we're going to keep homeschooling or not. But the other reason I probably won't get to this is to just film a whole day. You guys, it takes so much work to make YouTube videos. Anything that I could do in 15 to 20 minutes, if I'm filming, it takes 3 hours, because you have to get different camera angles. You have to make sure you've got memory cards and batteries, and when the batteries die, I have to stop and recharge them, or I've got to change the memory cards, and it just takes so long that I could never film a whole day in the life. So the best I can do is to film my routines, which I'm working on, and they're coming. But if you want a Cliff's Notes version of my day, here's kind of how my day goes. Because my kids aren't in school right now, I am not waking up until 7:30. And that's mostly because this baby moves all night long and keeps me awake. And so I sleep in until 7:30. My kids, on the other hand, are usually awake by 6 or 6:30. And they have just gotten in the habit of getting themselves dressed, making their beds, and then they go to the playroom where they can play quietly or watch a show until mom wakes up. But I am sleeping until 7:30. My kids do make their own beds. They're not neat, they're not great, they're not how I would make them, but somebody did comment, and my kids do make their own beds. So there's two things I've taught my kids how to do. It's to put clothes on hangers and to make their own beds. I know a lot of moms teach their kids to like fold napkins or towels. I didn't do that. I did hangers and beds, and that's important. I wake up at 7:30, I get dressed, do something with my hair. It usually ends up in a messy bun or in a ponytail. I don't typically wear makeup unless I'm filming because I'm just sitting at home all day, and I am more interested in having good skincare and good skin than wearing makeup. That's another video for another time. And so, I just quickly get myself ready. I go downstairs, we make breakfast, we clean up breakfast. By 8:30, we start school. We do school until about 10 o'clock, like 8:30 a.m. until about 10 o'clock. And then my son usually has a Zoom call twice a week with his class. By 10:30, we are mostly done with school if we were able to just sit down and get it done. If it's a day where my kids have the wiggles or kind of just aren't really in the mood, I'll let them play outside. We'll take some more breaks, some more recesses, and they can play outside, and then school kind of drags out a little bit. But I would say for the last 4 weeks, we're usually done by 10:30 or 11 every single day. And so at 10 o'clock, my son has his Zoom call and we have a snack. And then after the Zoom call, it's their free play, and they usually will go swimming or go outside and play. And then at 12 noon, that's kind of when my husband pops out of our cave office for lunch. And so I feed the kids as well, and we usually have lunch together as a family. And then at 12:30, the kids will, again, they'll go play outside, or it's usually warm enough for them to swim in our pool. My husband is usually kind of done with his important meetings of the day. Not that the rest of his stuff isn't important, but he can take phone calls, and so he will usually go work outside. We do have sort of a covered barbecue area with, a couch and a fire pit and stuff, and so he'll sit out there and he'll kind of work outside for the afternoon. And so while he's out there watching the kids, I will clean up lunch, and then I will also get started on my 1-hour cleaning task. So while everyone else is outside, I stay inside and I will clean. Then at 1:30, I usually put my daughter down for a nap. She's 3 and she still needs a nap. My son, who's 5, actually could use one, but he's just kind of over it. He won't do it. And so he has quiet time, and usually he will play on his little tablet some games or something. If he has to be on the computer for school, for his teacher, he does Lexia Core, which is like a phonics and reading app, or there's a math one, or he'll do some Starfall or something. And so while my daughter naps, he'll get on the computer and do his school for a little bit, and then he can just have free play or watch some TV. And during that time is when I film videos. Like I said, I usually will clean and film, but everything takes infinitely longer. So even my 1-hour cleaning tasks right now are taking me 2 to 3 hours because I'm trying to film them. So this is sort of how our schedule is going. As I mentioned, we usually finish all of our school by 10:30 or 11 a.m. But at 3:30 p.m., we do our nature study. And it's mostly because we like to be outside when we do it. It's not so super hot. Everything inside is clean. The house is kind of, clean and taken care of. And so I can stop and we go outside, and we usually will read our lesson, read a book, and do some kind of art project involving nature, whether that's a rainbow scavenger hunt or, watercolor, a tree or some flowers or something. We'll do that outside at about 3:30. At 4:30, I'm done with nature study, so I'll usually go in, my husband or I, and we'll do a final dinner prep. He really enjoys cooking, so if he's cooking, I'll do the sides, or if I'm cooking, he stays outside and watch the kids. And so we'll do that so that we can eat dinner by 5:30. We usually like to eat dinner by 5:30, and then the kids will go usually play in the playroom and my husband will go do whatever, and I will start my evening routine. So I'll go ahead and get the kitchen cleaned up and, you know, my sink scrubbed and all of that, everything in my evening routine playlist, which I will link up here. And then at 6:30, it's the kids' bath time. My kids usually have a bath every night just because A, they enjoy it, B, it's extra chance to play, and C, it makes them tired. So I have since they were born. I've given my kids a bath almost every single night of their lives. They have a bath. I know some people say it's not good to bathe your kids all the time. It's never been an issue. Their pediatrician doesn't care, whatever. At 7 o'clock, we put the kids in bed and we read a story, and then by 7:30, they are usually both passed out. And then by about 8 o'clock or so, if I haven't already, I will finish my evening routine. It's usually starting that last load of laundry for the day. I'll get myself ready for bed, and then I usually go to bed, or I can like watch a show with my husband or a movie or something. Or if I have to edit a video, I do it after the kids are asleep, and I'll get it all edited and ready and scheduled in YouTube to publish. And so that's kind of our schedule right now. It's not super scheduled, it's more routines, but these are kind of how it breaks down throughout the day. I don't have alarms in my phone that say, you know, 8:30, it's time to start school. I kind of just know, like, after breakfast, we need to clean up so we can start school. And everything else that's not in here, it's because I'm not doing it. So my work, my photography work, it's not in here because I'm not doing it right now. And I know that this schedule is going to change once baby comes, because I haven't had a new baby for 3 years, and I know it's very different. I don't know how it's going to change, but it will change, and I'm okay with that. It's adaptable. Luckily, it's summertime and we're in a pandemic and can't really go anywhere. Anyway, that was all the questions I had for today. I know this was a long video. Thank you so much for being here and for watching. I really appreciate all of you new subscribers. If you're not subscribed and you just happen to stumble upon this video, be sure to click that subscribe button. I have lots of cleaning and homemaking and mom life content. And as always, I will see you in my next video.